Hello, my name is Michael O'Keefe, aka The Movie Wizard. If you enjoy this interview and want to hear more top-notch film industry conversations, please press the thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell to stay in the know. Nance Ackerman, thank you for talking to me today about your documentary Conviction. Why did you choose the subject of female incarceration in Canada?
Well, actually, I worked with two other filmmakers, so there's three of us making the film, and the three of us wanted to do something the minute we all heard the statistic that women are the fastest growing prison population in Canada and worldwide. And it really shocked us, and it sort of hit us around the same time that Ashley Smith killed herself in prison. And it just was a culmination of wanting to work together with really powerful women and wanting to help do something with that meant something from the inside out, coming from prison, so that it wasn't always looking at them from the outside.
All right, and there's always going to be that kind of knee-jerk, tough on crime crowd. So how would you pitch this documentary to those folks?
Well, first of all, the tough on crime crowd usually are pretty concerned about investments and money and where their money goes, and jail and prison and punishment is actually one of the worst investments financially in this country. The money that it costs to keep a woman in prison is like $600 a day. So it's really not a great investment for something that has been proven over and over and over again that doesn't work. So it's a bad investment as well. Even the Department of Corrections, I think it was about 10 years ago, all got together and said if we released something like 80 or 78% of the women in all the prisons, there would be absolutely no increased danger to society. Women generally don't pose the danger to society. It's not, a lot of men don't either, but it's not violent crimes for what they're in there for generally. It's for poverty. For addiction, it's for mental health issues and being warehoused.
All right. Well, this movie for me, when I was starting it, was a little hard to watch, but then you kind of naturally you come around and you like these characters. Empathy kind of kicks in, and I was wondering, how did you use storytelling to do that?
Well, it's interesting you found it hard to watch.
At first.
Well, I think it's empathy because you're allowing them. We gave them cameras, we gave them art supplies, we allowed them to actually express themselves, and they were so articulate and they were so insightful into their own issues and what they needed and what they've gone through. I think anybody that has had any family association, everybody we all know has had some brush with mental illness, with some brush with addiction. So I think everybody could find themselves in these women eventually. You could find, or your daughter, or your mother, or your sister, or your auntie. You could definitely relate. They're just going through what we all go through. They're just going through it with absolutely no resources.
So this movie was produced by the National Film Board, and they've been around for quite some time now. And I was wondering what the working relationship with them was like.
Well, it's co-produced with the Film Board. It actually was produced by C2C Productions, a local production company here, that Teresa, one of the co-directors. So it's really produced. She did a lot of the groundwork with us and was also really hands-on in the creative. She helped me edit the film. So it was the three of us really worked hard, and the co-producer, Annette Clark, was amazing in the initial development. That's what's wonderful about the Film Board, actually, is their development. They get things really going in this country when it comes to documentaries. And it was, it was a tough film to make for everybody involved. You're dealing with such volatile situations. I think it really strained everybody's abilities to do their jobs, but we all pulled together and we did it.
Well, that's good stuff. That's what I like to hear. So how did you get into filmmaking yourself?
I actually started as a photojournalist in Toronto at the Globe and Mail. Just did a lot of photography for the Globe and the Star and the Montreal Gazette and New York Times and Canadian Geographic and yada yada. And I started I actually did a shoot up in Cape Breton about the OxyContin crisis, where people were dying of OxyContin overdose. And a guy came up to me, an addict, and he said, we have a story to tell and we want to make a film. And I said, well, I'll see what I can do. And that's where I walked into the NFB with absolutely no filmmaking experience, but a lot of storytelling experience. And we got a film made, and I had a co-director who was an ex-addict, and their story was told. So that's to go into all these remote communities all over the country. The Film Board really nurtures young filmmakers.
So one point that really struck me in the documentary was kind of this idea that people are just doomed from birth. Certain people are doomed from birth. And what do you think from a policy level should be done about that?
Well, see, they're not doomed from birth. They're doomed, I mean, yes, in terms of if they're born into poverty, they're doomed to be abused, and that abuse, usually sexual, as a young child, develops into PTSD, which is self-medicated with substance abuse. And it's this huge cycle that at the beginning, if there had been, a guaranteed minimum income, if there had been guaranteed secondary education, if there had been more support for women at risk and marginalized women, if you get the mothers supported that are having the children, and education and support is there for them for whatever mental health issues they have, then they don't start turning to the streets and turning to the drug dealers and turning to that lifestyle to sort of deal with their issues. So it's really quite, the money that's spent on corrections and punishing and that punishment model in this country and around the world, if it was sunk into social services, if those funds were reallocated, the jails would be closing. And that's ultimately what Kim Pate, who's a senator now, but was the ED of Elizabeth Fry Societies, her whole raison d'etre is this is so simple. The money just needs to be spent somewhere else. This isn't that complicated. And it keeps getting poor. They're building a new prison in Cape Breton here. They keep building these prisons, and they keep filling them up because prison is the only place that they can't say no. They can say no at emergency. They can say no at a shelter. They can say no at an addictions rehab center, but they cannot say no at a prison.
Wow. How can people listening to this broadcast get involved with this endless cycle of prison that some people experience?
Well, what they can do is actually write their members of parliament and their MLAs, because it is a provincial prison problem as well, and say they want the money reallocated to social services, and they want more beds for rehab, more therapy for people who are suffering from PTSD from sexual assault as a child. They want that support in the community and don't build any more prisons. Stop warehousing our women, and eventually you'll stop warehousing their sons. It's pretty logical. So writing your member of parliament would really get things rolling. Also, Elizabeth Fry Society, CAFES, Canadian Association of Elizabeth Fry Societies, they have wonderful, you can volunteer. There's they're based out of Ottawa, and they have chapters all over the country, and you can volunteer to help women with lived experience actually get on their feet and work with them. You can volunteer with them to help meet women at the gate, so you can stop the return rate of women just getting thrown right back inside. So there's all kinds of things you can do. Yeah. You can go Rendezvous with Madness in Toronto in October. We're actually opening the film festival there. They have so many amazing panels and other films that deal with mental health. And Elizabeth Fry will be there as well, and Kim Pate will be there too. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. Basically, just stop supporting the prison system because it's not working.
All right. And I was wondering, on a personal level, did you, when you're maybe editing and in touch with this material so much, does it ever depress you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I still don't think any of us that have been involved with it are kind of over it. When you keep looking at the same footage over and over when you're editing, it can be, Oh, yeah. I mean, I cried there. You know the part I'm talking about. I couldn't stop crying. I cried every time I watched it. So it's like, crying 10 times a day is a little tough. But it's,
I know what you're referring to, I think. But, yeah, no, it definitely it gives you a gut punch several times.
It does.
But it's an important one. It helps people wake up and realize what's going on. So it's not, it's not gratuitous or anything like that. So you mentioned the film festival. Could you give us a little tease as to how people can eventually watch Conviction, or are you figuring stuff out right now?
Also, we're going to be in festivals all through the Maritimes, and also doing community screenings across the country. We're going to be at Vancouver International Film Festival. We're going to be in community screenings associated with the Elizabeth Fry, which is great because generally they'll be doing fundraisers associated with it. And then on December 1st, CBC Documentary Channel, the Doc Channel, is going to be one of our great supporters. They're December 1st at 9 p.m. So, and then subsequent screenings on the Documentary Channel. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
They do really good stuff, the Documentary Channel.
You'll be able to see it a lot of places.
Good. All right. Well, I'll tell everyone to keep an eye out for that one. It's definitely good stuff. Nance Ackerman, thank you very much for your time. Before I let you go, can you tell me what you have planned for your future?
Well, I actually just finished. I just wrapped and locked a really joyous film. So I did that.
Good.
For me. And I'm doing a film in Afghanistan, too. So, yeah, I've got a few things on the go.
Thrilling. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks so much, Michael.